right, good evening. Welcome to the October meeting of the Environmental Advisory Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First up, approval of the minutes from September. Does anybody have any questions, comments, additions to the minutes?
Nope.
You're not. Okay, then we have a motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right, minutes are approved. Thank you. And thank you again, John. That's all. I always let you know how much I appreciate you doing the minutes. All right, first on the agenda is Tony for the Get Solar program. We're going to push that back, hoping that he comes. I can try and highlight what's going on, but he's definitely the better person to do that. So we'll move on. And rain garden maintenance, Dawn also let me know last minute she's not feeling well tonight, so she's not going to be with us. I can just tell you she's continuing to work on it. She's been having work nights every Tuesday. I met her up there last night just to kind of see what she's doing, and it looks wonderful. Not only is it cleaned out, but she's been gathering perennials to plant down in it.
Jeff donated some.
Oh,
Yeah,
you do?
yeah, I did. I brought a couple truckload or two up, and
Oh,
yeah, and
awesome.
I can probably bring some more too. So,
Thanks, and
so I'll catch up with her. on
I
that.
brought a few for her last night. A friend of
Yeah.
mine was cleaning out her garden.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep that in mind. And I know this time of year there's sales on some of the native perennials. So if anybody sees anything, we'll
I
take the
brought her
donations and
A bunch of ferns from up in Mercer.
Right.
Because they're pretty hardy and deer resistant.
Mhm.
And Judy, she's doing this every Tuesday now?
Well, she has the past few.
It's done.
Okay.
Did
it's
she
done.
finish up last? night?
Okay, good.
I made it every time except last night because we had our class reunion. So friends come over.
Okay. But no, it's amazing the work she's done. So
Oh, yeah. It's
um,
beautiful.
thanks to her
But there's
again.
still quite a bit more that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that was just pretty much the work on the one next to the Heritage Center. I know
Well, we did
we cleaned
One
up.
there and 2 out of 4 on
Right.
the right.
I hadn't really looked. Are those mulched and planted as well, or were those just clear?
Pretty much. But the second one up is blown out. So I told that to Jeff.
Ah,
He's gonna have
okay.
to repair the side of the sidewall blew out on the creek side.
Okay.
Do we want to ask for donations of plants, or we think you got enough?
I think
or-
Dawn got
that's-
enough, but she did, but maybe we'll go again next fall
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
I know
or
she
maybe spring after we get in there.
had talked about putting together a maintenance plan. So
Okay.
hopefully that can
Yeah,
be
she
part
had
of
talked,
that.
I think, the Audubon Society about that
Mhm.
and got a
So-
lot of information.
So we'll wait and see what she puts together on that and how we're gonna do this moving forward, whether this is gonna be all EAC or she looks like she's got herself a nice little committee. Putting it all together, so that's great.
Can we get any pictures, any publicity out of this, or?
Yeah, has she taken any?
Yeah, she's taken a bunch.
Okay, and I think we have to post
At
something.
least the first one.
Okay.
There was good.
Right, there was some pictures
Especially
of the
the
first one.
second one too.
Right,
We publicized the second one, so. If we get any more fresh ones, we can do that. Just say, hey, check it out.
okay,
I know the Heritage Center, their Facebook actually posted some recently as well. so
maybe that's what
we'll
I
share
saw.
that.
I feel like I saw something.
Well, there were the older pictures when it was originally built. We had those out.
Mhm. But we need a before and after.
Yeah.
Well, before, after, and then after. Let's see what
After
she's
action.
done. Yeah,
I was just looking to give some,
Oh, yeah, you
recognition
should.
to, the
Um,
group that was doing it, pulling weeds.
She had
no.
116 hours the last, prior to this last
Right.
one,
right.
but that's way under. Because Jeff and I went and worked and then, so I'm gonna say we probably all told probably ended up having about 200 hours in there, I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Okay, we talked to her about some photos so we can give her some recognition. Okay,
Before the snow falls, I mean.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Or
I
before
know.
the weeds.
Right.
Well, maybe it'd be
Back up.
nice when the snow falls to reminisce that we do have plants.
Right. Well, the
That's
frustrating
okay.
part is, I know when I was there last week, a little bit helping her, and how fast that thistle came back up through the mulch.
With tree
So-
orchards and stuff, what I do when I have a tree is I put like a bucket over top of
Mhm.
trees and then I spray Roundup to get rid of the other stuff.
Well, let me address why it came through the mulch. I was going through with my weed whacker and I was whacking it down about this
Yeah.
high. So that it's just easier than you can just go in and dig it out or pull it out.
Mhm.
And in many cases, there was
It's-
no follow-up after
and-
where I whacked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
And I know she put some cardboard down in some
Right.
spots, which helped, but it's amazing. We dug a little of it up, putting some more plants in, and that cardboard disintegrates right away.
quickly.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, that won't last too
Well, we
long.
put the
I
mulch
agree.
down about that thick, like
Mhm.
4 inches, so it's
Yeah.
should help.
No, it looks great. So hopefully we can find a way to keep it up.
Oh, yeah, be careful. There's poison ivy there. I finally got rid of it after about a month.
Oh, okay. Anything else on the rain gardens? Not that we'll move on to the combination wall park and deer management, since that's Ken and Jack.
Well, deer management, we asked them, Suburban Whitetail for a report, it's just the 2 weeks of September, because our archery season opens early here as a special regulations area. Last year, the entire season from September through the end of January, they took 19 deer. The first 2 weeks of September, they harvested 16.
All right, so
So we're moving and they're still
Good.
talking with more landowners and it's difficult because there's people already hunting different areas and stuff
Mhm.
like that, that it's difficult to get it all under one coordinated thing, but it's at least it's moving ahead much better. With Suburban, they keep track of their hunters, each have an area, they keep track of how much time they're there. They have to keep a log of how many deer they saw, and all of that, so we get some pretty detailed information on what's going on, and then from year to year, you can see. If you are actually getting the deer population down to a more reasonable level.
okay.
So a little background if I could. So this is McCandless.
Mhm.
This is not North Park or anything like that.
Correct.
This is McCandless outside of the county park. For areas that is what 50 feet from archery, because it's what 50 feet from 50 yards from, okay, so there are areas in McCandless where deer management goes on. And I'm not that familiar with the area, so there's not homes every place, so there's deer management goes on in fields and all that kind of stuff. Does that go on every year?
It's. When you get into the 50-yard zone, if you have the landowner permission, you can be within that. And so forth, so.
You can be closer.
Mhm.
Okay.
And there's actually quite a bit of area. One of the problems that the whitetail hunters had in North Park is that when they started hunting there, the deer would just move out of the park. And we didn't have the hunters outside the park. So now that we're balancing that out, it should work better for both.
Mhm.
Suburban is very similar to Whitetail Hunters, which is in all 9 county parks. Where people will have to qualify first to be there. And they have to keep logs, they're given an area to hunt.
Mhm.
And so everything is really pretty well structured that you can get a lot of information from it. And it's just a matter of getting hunters that are willing to put in the time and harvest deer.
Is there a certain, I mean, is it date to date specific, then it stops, or?
Well, it's Pennsylvania game, everything is done by Pennsylvania game law. That's a 50-yard zone.
But I mean, is it?
It started in September, ends in January.
Oh, so it goes that far?
Yeah,
And so that was 19 this year?
no, 19 last year,
The entire season last year
from September through January.
Was 19?
was 19 deer harvested by Suburban Whitetail.
Yeah,
And so far this year, the first 2 weeks of September, the first 2 weeks of the season, they've harvested 16 deer.
okay,
It's
okay.
actually the last
Thank
2 weeks of September,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
the
I
2
said
weeks.
that
is-
incorrectly.
yeah.
Right, so that sounds like that's really accelerated.
Yes,
Okay,
And one of the things we did in Wall Park as a town, we cleared some pathways so that they could, harvest the deer. 'Cause
Yeah,
It gets
yeah.
hard walking in.
So,
Or some
is it buck and doe?
Yes. And they can harvest it as long as you have basically unlimited antlerless licenses in the special regulations area. So hunters can harvest as many antlerless deer as they choose to. What happens a lot is like with whitetail hunters in the park, I know, and I imagine it'll be the same with suburban, is when they've shot their third or fourth deer, that's more venison than they need. And so then that's donated.
But actually, they're required to donate the first deer.
Okay, okay, that was my next
And
question. Okay.
it might even be the second deer, but they're supposed to shoot 2 doe before they shoot a buck.
Wow, okay.
Is how the program was designed.
Hmm.
That way they don't go in. We're worried about them trophy hunting.
Right.
So we want them to go kill the doe because it's more important than killing the bucks because,
Mhm.
population.
yeah.
Absolutely. And again, is that Pennsylvania or is that our, do we have guidelines here, McCandless, or do we just follow Pennsylvania's guidelines?
Everyone in the state has to follow.
Follow.
That's why we can't make laws. We have in our original charter some information, but it's a moot point because Pennsylvania law trumps all local
Okay,
laws.
got it. Okay,
That you'll never see archery hunters in North Park during deer season because they're required to wear blaze orange. And they don't want to shock the public with guys sitting in a tree somewhere.
yeah, they're right behind my house. So I'm between Babcock and Irwin Road or
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that hill, and then I look out and I saw a guy walking around behind. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen anybody behind my house because the hill's like this. I mean, it's like a castle up here.
Mm.
And so there was a guy, he's 87 years old. He's like, yeah, this is my area to hunt. And that's why I ask so many questions, Ken, because I didn't know anything about it until 2 weeks ago. So thank you for the detail of that. I appreciate that.
So the 20 years that they've been doing the program in North Park, they're taking roughly 200 deer a year out.
Yeah, he said it's actually slowed down. He said the population is less. Now that was, to his
It's less,
estimation.
but it's still very high.
It's still.
Yeah, right,
they're still
okay.
everywhere.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You want to get the second year females and above
Mhm.
because they have twins and occasionally triplets. It's the first year doe that only has one deer.
The deer population will double every 2 to 3 years. If there's no hunters or predators, and
Yeah,
McCandless Township, the only predator has been cars.
yeah.
Is there any data on dead deer on the roads?
It's very difficult in that you've got state roads and county roads and township roads. And so when we tried to do that initially, we just kept running into brick walls on trying to get different data together. Game Commission can tell us all the deer harvested in McCandless, but then that you don't know if that's North Park or outside and so forth. We contacted the insurance companies to see if they can give us any data, and they couldn't give us any data either. So it's one of those things between there's different services to pick up deer from McCandless for the county and for the state. And so we don't really, it was impossible.
Actually, we do have a little bit of a window there because I'm on the budget committee and they had a total number for animal carcasses that have been picked up. So I have it broken down. So on a monthly basis now, I'm getting a report of how many deer
Oh,
that we're picking up on our township roads.
on the road.
Now, that doesn't include the state road like
We're North Park.
Warner.
McKnight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
I saw there were 3 dead deer on McKnight between Peebles and Duncan the other day.
Do you call them in?
No,
You can call them into June. I've been calling them into June. I probably
I
Called in
assume
9
the
deer by
police
now.
do that. I don't
Okay.
call in anything anymore. That's not worth it.
they've been really prompt at removing the.
Oh,
deer
yeah,
carcass.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I've
just as
seen
long
it.
as they don't throw them up to the side of Irwin Road, it's because just I mean, you walk along, you're just like, "Woof."
They used to
Yeah.
do that.
Oh, they don't used to do that. They do that.
It's there was a change in the law, like with road-killed animals, a lot of times if they were not hit badly, they would take them to churches and orphanages and old folks homes and hospitals and all of that, but it's
Yeah.
not federally inspected meat, so they're no longer able to do that.
Mhm.
So they have to get rid of them somewhere.
Right, yep,
I actually saw an article came through my phone, in Maine. There's now do not eat orders on deer that are harvested because of the chemicals that are building up in the meat.
If they get a body that's too decomposed, they cover it with lime.
right,
Right.
yes, yep, yeah, that seems to work.
I mean, because 19 deer, I mean, I don't know.
That was for a whole year last year.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot. I
Well,
mean, I could probably see 10 dead deer in
no, it
a
wasn't.
month.
So that's why we had some discussions.
And again, the lowest total I've seen come out of North Park is over 130,
Wow, wow.
and, you know,
Who manages that?
that's county park, so that's suburban whitetail hunters, which is suburban and whitetail hunters are structured very much the same.
Well, we have suburban
We have
whitetail.
suburban in the county, it's whitetail hunters.
Whitetail hunters. Can you get that information for the next meeting, and I'll get the amount of
I can ask Andy if
carcasses
I
we
can-
picked up in the town?
I can ask Andy for that, see, you know, I think they do monthly reporting also, but I'm not positive of that.
Hmm.
He always gives me a summary at the end of the year.
Thank you.
Helpful.
And with Wall Park, Jack's gonna know a lot more what's going on there than I do right now, so.
Well, I've been reaching out to all kinds of organizations, about 4 different organizations. I've been reading books. There's, it just seems so simplistic that we could just drive right down, right down through the center, and it's got a lot of water down there, but it's all, what do you call it? The Japanese stilt grass.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
you would think that the DEP would want us to kill all that. If we did, then we could, but I don't think they're gonna let us, so we're gonna just have to cut it in the side of the hill. But I did meet with Franklin Park and our town manager so that we could conceivably hook over to their orchard park. And there's several ways we could do it, 3 ways. One is we could go up Rochester Road, where we asked the town to cut a path. There's a electrical right of way. And that gets us halfway to Orchard. And then Franklin Park would have to figure out how to get from there up with a sidewalk on one side of the road or the other. The other option is the way Wall Park is structured. It kind of shapes like this. There's also, this part goes up by Rochester, but we could conceivably come around the side and go through that piece of property behind the church if we could get permission, and then come out through the back of the Catholic church up there.
Hmm.
And the third would be, there's, in between these 2 sections is a big neighborhood. And if we could get somehow a right of way through one of those pieces of property, they have sidewalks, and those sidewalks, what do they call that? Benjamin Franklin?
Yeah.
That neighborhood or something like
I
that,
think that's.
Ben Franklin. Then that comes out to Rochester Road, directly across from Orchard Park. Unfortunately, there's no crossing there. And that's already a problem because people are going over and there's no crossing, and the town's worried about people pushing baby buggies. There's a curve that comes into it. And the state doesn't want to put a crossing in there because they think it's dangerous. Well, yes, it is dangerous, but people are still going to cross there anyhow
Right.
because there's a neighborhood and there's a park.
Mhm.
So there's just some stuff that needs to be worked out.
So Jack, is your role feasibility in securing land or like, I mean, is this all preliminary?
This is all preliminary.
Yeah,
It's when you come off of town-owned and controlled land, you're going into private land,
right.
and then you're going into Franklin Park. But that intervening privately held stuff is how you have to figure out. You know, going up Rochester Road is one, coming up through the church, you know, it's you just have to figure out where you can get, you know, the easement that'll let you do that.
And this is the same as Rachel Carson Trail. You know, where they have to go through private land and then they try to secure, buy some of the land or get easements, as you said, and yeah, okay.
And she's gonna laugh at this. I signed up for Rachel Carson.
Did you, to do the challenge?
No,
No,
to
to do
to
the-
work on it.
Say the challenge sign up is until March, but okay.
Yeah.
All right.
30.
See how they do things. I do the 18-mile version.
Nice and level.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good
A
part.
nice and level version in Pennsylvania.
Being very sarcastic.
So
All right.
that's one of the,
Learn how to build a trail.
yeah, well, we'll talk.
All right, that's good. Anything else we need to know on ballpark? Sounds like you're moving along, and I guess we were kind of waiting too for Public Works to free up before we
Right.
go there and start actually doing
Well,
anything.
they're gonna be limited as to what they can do.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of wetlands going up through that bottom.
Yeah,
But I think
Okay.
that's really something that we should probably in the EAC be talking about is, the stiltweed in there and because it's just starting to creep up all the hillsides too, and it's bad stuff.
It's not starting to creep up. It's at the top. It's into my neighbor's yard all the way up their hill to their house.
Yes, it's
It's
the
everywhere.
entire understory in the forest there is still grass when we walk it.
As far as Wall Park's concerned, by the way, it will be in next year's budget to redo the bottom, the fields and the parks and
Right,
stuff
right.
down there. But that's separate from the trail.
yeah. Okay.
Does MTSA has an easement?
Yes, they do.
Do they have any responsibility in terms of the siltweed or
No,
clearing their easement or?
Nope.
I mean, they have to clear it for their own access, but not for anyone else's, I guess, right?
they it's a sticky wicket.
And still grass is really hard to control because nothing eats it, and even if you spray it,
Except goats.
there's a seed bank that even though you spray it and kill it all, there's gonna be more that comes back up for the next couple of years.
Yeah, unless you get it, it just keeps reseed, just like anything else. I mean, it gets to a point where then it seeds and
Will those goats eat it or?
I have not. Jack has probably looked at this more than I have. I'm not aware of anything that eats stilt grass. Bugs or animal,
Or goats. What do the goats eat? The knotweed?
they're browsers.
Is there anything we can put out, like what a homeowner can do about this, if it's like mat creeping into their yards or? Any
There's-
information or anything
There's
like that?
chemicals that will kill just stilt grass and nothing else. It's pretty expensive. And the other thing that they do in forestry situations is they apply the same chemical that's in crabgrass prevention.
Okay.
It keeps the seed from germinating. But those are the only treatments that I'm aware of is a herbicide spray and then the next year putting down the seed inhibitor so that it doesn't sprout back up, but you're still going to have you're still going to have some. And so it's a multi-year thing, and then I'm convinced that my house is that the seeds get stuck from somewhere from when deer wolves, and as they walk into an area, they bring in their seed and so forth.
Another reason to kill the deer.
So an eventual trail through there would need to get maintained, right? Because that grass is gonna,
I would just bushwhack it, next to the
Bushwhack.
trail.
Well, if you put down, say, the millings, conceivably the millings would kill it, and then people walking on it.
Well, that's,
kill it.
you get the trap, you need to put
Yeah,
traffic on it.
But it's not like it's 4 foot wide, it's 40 feet wide.
You're right, yeah.
There's more than just still crossing all of that though.
Yeah. Well, most of it is still great.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
Very
move on.
aggressive.
Yeah, move on.
All right, litter cleanups, Dave.
Yeah, I can be quick on this. Yeah, we have litter, volunteer roadside litter cleanup, this Saturday, October 15th. Meet at 8:30, out back. John, can we get a sign for the front door or something to direct people to the
That'd
back?
be good because they're having yoga in here, so if
Right.
the sign says yoga in here, clean up out there.
Right, something like that.
The yoga people when they're done.
You know, if they weren't doing 9 to 10, they could participate.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, it wouldn't just be part of the yoga class,
I
all the
know.
bend and stretch.
Exactly. They're all stretched now,
Reach for
ready
the
to go,
star.
warmed up.
This is way more exercise than a yoga class, believe me. Yeah.
It could be hard.
2 hours of litter pickup. So right now we have about 25 people signed up for this coming Saturday and about 10 for next Saturday, the 22nd.
Do you have Tony for this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, because he just told me, remind you.
Yep. Weather looks okay for this Saturday. Advertising has been the same, the town website, social media. We got a small article in the North, I guess what used to be the North Journal, now it's the North Allegheny Journal. We've got some kids from NA. I'm not sure if they're connected to the Key Club or not. Haven't received anything back from the Key Club, from the Scouts, anything like that, so.
Oh, really?
We've just got maybe 4 or 5 kids that have northallegheny.org email addresses,
Yeah.
so. That's about it with that. I mean, we'll do what we can. We got 2 dates to try to cover the areas that need to be covered. We'll mention that our little group met with Mr. O'Malley on September 22nd. I prepared a handout if anyone's interested. It has a lot of the data on what we've accomplished in terms of litter pickup and some of our issues. Maybe it's,
Can you put that on our SharePoint site
yeah, for sure.
and let us
sure.
know? We can all, that's good, because I know Dawn's been pushing too on us making sure we document a lot of
Yep.
that stuff, so. That's
Yeah,
great.
no, it's pretty complete, 2 pages full of history, data, and then issues that
Okay,
have come up. Just, I mentioned the Scouts, we've tried a couple times to get them interested in, we've got another project, stickers that go on catch basins that say, drains to a water course, don't dump oil and that kind of stuff into the catch basin. It tried, but I've never gotten any bites from the Scouts to take on that project. So just if anyone's has any leads on that, typically we do the roads that have been paved, newly paved in the summer. We try to get this accomplished in the fall. 2 years ago it happened, last year it didn't happen, and then this year looks like it's not going to happen, so we probably have some catch up to do, but that's about it.
but we do have the decals to put down.
Yes, as far as I know,
They could still be in my office. yeah.
still have them, yeah. Decals, epoxy.
Right,
I did see one place where the decal was, it should have been here, but it had fallen off over there, like the epoxy hadn't held. Just from picking up litter, I don't know, I think it was on Arcadia or something. But anyway, it might have gotten hit by a plow or something, I don't know. Anyway, so that's that's all I got. Jeff, you were there with, meeting with Mr. O'Malley,
Mhm.
any input? I think I wouldn't describe it as a great meeting or a bad meeting. It was kind of just introductory, and I think he's very cautious in terms of moving forward with anything. I didn't sense a lot of enthusiasm about, litter, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, it was informational. I think he recognized that there was some really easy things that the township could do that was just adding to to the schooling. TV outside, and there were some things that were very, very obvious, but I don't think that he sought anything more than just getting to know us and getting to know what the program
Right.
is.
It was just his third week on the job. so
Yeah, yeah.
Probably.
He was still
hearing
trying
from
to
everybody, yeah.
Could be a little overwhelming.
figure out where the
Yeah.
men's room was.
At least impressed with him.
But were you there walking? I'll park with them. Good. Thanks for doing all that. Okay,
Sorry, something to add, regarding those students, those North Allegheny students. I believe they are from the Interact Club. The teacher that I've been in touch with, Janellen Lombardi, wrote to me today and gave me a list of the students that she has signed up, and asked me to check to see if they were actually registered. John, I sent those names to you. I thought you might have access to that to be able to tell me if they were signed up or not, or I can send them to whoever. But they are getting Interact credit, which I don't exactly understand. That must be a program that they have going on there, to do the litter cleanup. So there were 2 for tomorrow, or 2 for this week, and 6 for next week that were signed up, according to her records. But that might be a group also that is interested in doing the catch basins and things like that too. It looks like they do a lot of volunteer type things, and a lot of them are environmentally minded. So we might want to, I have a meeting with her next Tuesday morning. I'm going to be talking to her just about, ideas for stuff we can do moving forward. So if you want to send me some info about that, I can throw that her way as well.
Okay,
Great.
yep, for sure.
all right.
Yep.
Thanks for making that connection.
Are they Nash students or NAI or?
They are, I have to look back to make sure. I want to say they're Nash. Yeah, they're at Nash. She's the sponsor of the Interact Club. She is also the gifted teacher at Nash. So, so we have a little bit of an into to a nice wealth of students there, I have a feeling. So hopefully we can come up with some ideas.
I wonder if that's because I believe Key Club is just NAI. So I wonder if that's kind of a companion
Okay,
at the high school. So that's great.
send that info on CVs.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks for those leads, Matt. That's awesome.
Yep, sure thing.
All right. Next item up, stormwater ordinance update. Is there anything new to report there?
First and foremost, David, thank you for your edits and your comments. They were passed
Yeah.
along. Some of them I think were able to use and others not, because we had already advertised. So it's been approved, and it makes our town probably the, I guess, model for other communities. I think we've really strengthened it. There's a lot more in there than there was in the past. And there was some stuff removed because it was redundant, and laws had changed and actually made it unnecessary to have some pieces in there. So it was cleaned up quite a bit. And that's thanks to Jason Singer, who is a subject matter expert on stormwater. So we're very fortunate to have him on town council.
Now, does this ordinance become part of the new zoning and Saldo
nothing-
stuff, or it's something?
That's separate. Yeah, ordinance is over here, and zoning and Zaldo's over there. So
Okay.
a good question.
So I know they're putting that together, but thank you for taking the time. If anyone, I glanced over it, I skimmed it a little bit, 100 and some pages.
There's a lot in there.
It's a lot of it, it's very detailed technical
And
stuff, so.
the appendices also, I mean, I'm no expert on all of that site work and all of that. I've never done site work, stormwaters in terms of site work. I've done pipes in the road, so that's kind of my,
But I think
Fine.
he and I both learned there's a difference between a retention and a detention pond. I thought they were the same thing.
Yeah, one's at the high school, one is.
Yeah. Now, what one is meant to filter the water out like within 24 hours, and one's meant to actually
right.
keep the water for a certain period of time. So thank you both for your efforts on that. All right, sustainability. Jeff has graciously
Dave.
don't laugh. Volunteered to take our sustainability effort back up. Starting back with Shelley and John and the original effort, and then we had Jonathan Bernstein
Mhm.
kind of kept it up, and with Tony as well, has also been very involved in it. And with his sustainability class at Pitt.
Mhm.
So these are all folks we need to put you in touch with.
Yes, so I have a good 2 pages for questions.
Okay,
I mean, as you might expect. So where do I start? Do I spend an hour with John? Just sort of, where did it start? What are the origins?
Right.
Does it expire?
And
Are there new
that's-
standards? Is
it
it voluntary?
it predates me.
Okay, yeah,
When I came on, they were in just the very end of getting our first certification
hmm
and the grades, and it was a lot of information. I'm trying to think if the best person between, well, Tony's aware of it, but even Shelley.
Yeah.
Shelley is probably your best contact. Shelley Sponholm. I can give you her contact
Please do.
information, and I can even, send her an email and kind of set you up here. She was on the EAC.
okay,
She has a sustainability background. I believe she was with Giant Eagle.
mhm,
And then she went on, when she left the EAC, she was on town council for a while.
okay,
And she is now on the planning commission.
okay,
But she is going to know everything there is to know about it. Tony's probably going to know a little bit more about recent updates, and because what it is, we got our certification, we got gold certification, correct? Probably around 2019.
mhm, Mhm.
And, but they are, I guess that has to be renewed every so often,
Mhm.
and they have updated the program.
that's all, yeah,
So you
it
have.
all makes sense to me, right?
So now it's a matter of, we're going to have to renew this at some period of time. I'm not even sure, John.
Last
What,
time it sounded like we had like 2 years, but
it
that was
keeps
delayed.
changing.
it was delayed for so long, because we were
Yes.
doing it in 2019. They said, oh yeah, we're deactivating this, next month. Didn't take place earlier this year.
Okay, so we probably have a little bit of time, but it's kind of laying low for a while, except the Tony sustainability class did last spring. We're able to get, I think, actually advanced information on the new criteria.
Okay, good,
And they put together a report on what they thought was the low hanging fruit with some recommendations as to the things we should attack that should be within our, our budgets and our time
hmm
to try and work towards getting from gold to platinum.
okay,
Or even,
Okay.
even maintaining gold. Because
right, right.
Understanding is it's going to be more difficult.
Judy, was that part of the pit capstone?
Yes.
Did-
That's-
does-
Right, I saw the video and I watched all of that and
Okay.
yeah, okay, so protocol then is, I mean, will somebody give me an hour? I mean, that seems like in a way that I know that if it's John, I could get on his calendar and he can say, here's my outlook and I'm open from 2 to 3. How do I reach out to talk to these people that
Well, I still would put Shelley in there. Shelley is retired.
okay,
So I believe she can make time for you.
okay, that's good.
I feel quite certain she would. She's always said, let her know with whatever she can help with.
Okay,
And yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ken.
It's her passion.
Okay, wonderful. That's,
So,
I love that word. So
So what I'm gonna do, I will.
can I meet her here? Can we use can we use a meeting room
I
here?
don't see why not.
Yeah, we can figure that out. I mean,
Yeah. And.
Okay, good.
if-
Around email going around saying.
And-
you know, what's the-
and
Yeah,
if it's
John, if you could
something-
do
if
that,
you're
initiate
available too,
You know,
if it's something during the day.
Love
you
it,
guys
yeah.
can meet.
Absolutely.
I think that would be the best way. I think between John and Shelley, you're gonna get.
That's great. So John, if you could
All of it.
initiate that, and I'd like to keep that going, and we'll, I mean, this thing will have momentum, and we'll just keep it going until it's done. Till we learn all we need to learn and finish it. So,
Okay.
yeah, it won't flounder.
No, that's great. And,
Yeah.
and feel free to keep me updated. I haven't been real involved with, my sustainability knowledge is
Mhm.
not great. So feel free to do whatever you need to do with these folks
Okay,
and let me know if there's anything else you need. And once again, I keep Tony in the loop as well,
Mhm.
because he's
Okay.
got a lot of information,
Mhm.
so.
Got it.
Ken has a passion for this also.
No, I.
He's more of an outdoorsman, not a
Yeah.
report writer.
So thank you again for being willing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
To get that going. Okay, landscape planting guide update. I haven't been able to do anything else with that. I'm just going to update you though on the questions with the butterfly bush. I believe I sent everybody a copy of Donna Raddick's response to me on a non-invasive variety of an invasive plant and what we think we ought to do. I've learned a lot. She sent some great links there, trying to understand what all this means, and that a non-invasive variety of an invasive plant, which by the way is what we have planted in the front, that is the controversial planting. But that the non-invasive variety is supposed to have only less than 2% of the seeds will actually propagate, or it's right. And that's based on, data they have now. It's possible in the future, they find out that it's
Prolific.
more prolific than they think. So it's not, it's not 100% certain that it's never going to proliferate. Also, a follow-up comment from Donna was that if anyone chooses to use those, the recommendation is actually to pull the, I guess, the spent blooms to keep the seeds from
Mhm.
blowing, just
Mhm.
because 2% is still 2% of something that's not native being introduced to the surrounding area. So does anyone have any thoughts or questions? Because ultimately, I believe what has been asked of us is a recommendation to remove them. I wanted to have all the data and all the facts before we said, yeah, we think the town should pull them out, plant something else native in its place. One of the
Did you
arguments.
ask about that particular variety, or did you just talk about?
No, well, that particular variety, I looked at the information you sent. I looked at the growers website and got that information. No, the question I asked of Donna was a more generic. She didn't know that particular variety, but she understands the question. She understands that, the whole butterfly bush and that there are some non-invasive varieties. So she doesn't have particular knowledge on just that one variety, but as a whole. But the concern that was brought to me was that here we're trying to promote and encourage developers to number one, use our landscape planting guide, which is not very comprehensive yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It needs a lot more work, a lot more.
and I'm
detail.
not sure, talking to the guys at Best Feet, I'm not sure that those are all native
They're
bushes
not all,
anyhow.
and it's very clear which ones are native and which ones are not at this point. And in fact, even talking to Donna, it's with among the master gardeners, number one, she said that there's as many opinions as there are master gardeners. Everybody's got their own
Mm,
understandings and their own preferences. And that a general guideline is that in a native planting garden that you have at least 70% of those plants are native. The understanding is that it's difficult to do it all. And she says in her own personal plantings, there are a few that are non-native plants. Of course, you try to keep the invasives out, but in reality, having small amounts of non-natives is not a horrible thing.
So a non-native doesn't necessarily mean it's invasive.
No, it
Right?
does not. But the native plants have the advantage of, well, they should be easier to grow.
Uh-huh.
And in general, they support
this is the bush.
animal
Right, yeah.
animal life. They
Yeah.
they attract the native bees, butterflies. And they just should grow better and be healthier in our environment.
Well, does attracting bees and butterflies outweigh the risk of,
Well,
being,
and another thing about this one here, it attracts butterflies, but apparently it's like what did she compare it to? Skittles. There's nothing really,
Oh.
no nutrients. It attracts them, but it's like junk food. It attracts them, but really doesn't do anything to help them.
Because every time I pulled in, there was
There's-
either a butterfly or butterfly and bees on the bush.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
like
is,
trying to eat Doritos.
yeah, it's prolific.
But they come. So, but thank you for putting these out.
Yeah, Oregon allows this, and I have a friend who is an environmentalist. He has his own company. He
Mhm.
actually, part of his company counts spotted owls. But he told me that Oregon is probably one of the more restrictive states in the country when it comes to allowing plants. And they do allow the Miss Ruby butterfly bush.
Yeah,
So
and I did see that as well.
I thought that was interesting.
The big thing with non-natives, as long as they're not going to escape and become a still grass.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
And I guess that's the attempt, and it's not 100% certain. As I said, they're 98%, supposed to be 98% less able to get out there and propagate, but they've had other varieties like that have over time turned into a problem.
Hmm.
So
Did the Audubon lady ever get back to you?
no, I did not get a contact there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I went looking for one and was never able to get one that I could.
I tried
Yeah,
reaching out to
quick.
Penn State Extension.
Well, and
that's-
that's the whole master gardeners.
That's a pain.
Outfit,
No one
yeah.
ever calls you back.
No, that's why I went to a local master gardener, and they train through the they follow the Penn State program. So. What are everyone's feelings as to whether we believe this is something that should be removed? Or something properly cultivated and
What are we gonna
Watch.
replace it with?
that's a good point. We should have a recommendation. If we, and I have a list and I have not gone through and. picked
Because
this as a
it's an unusual in it, because it flowers all summer.
It does. It is
And-
beautiful. It's still flowering now.
And it, like trying to find a native that has anywhere near those kind of characteristics,
And
I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, you probably will not find them.
The one thing I particularly liked about it was the fact that it's deer resistant. Because the deer just ravish my
Right.
wife's flowers. I mean,
Oh,
we
I
just
have
went out
nothing
and bought all
left.
those mums and
they eat the mums?
they ate the mums.
They've been eating,
okay.
this is the first year they're eating my mums as well.
Oh,
So I quit growing mums 20 years ago.
wow.
That's the one thing that I used to have no trouble with, and this year.
Me
they
too.
Decimated them.
They let our pumpkins go so far. They'll find them.
Yeah.
I
You'll get 'em.
smash them with the hoof and eat 'em.
Yeah. Maybe they're just too big.
I don't know about this.
So it's,
Well, you think about it.
Yeah,
maybe.
is it an overreaction? Is it something that as I'm told, sets a good example. Because I forget which group I was in, whether it was the zoning folks or somebody else, maybe it was somebody else had noted that there were butterfly bushes up there. They didn't realize they were, a lot of people don't realize that they are a non-invasive variety. And
Just carrying it further, when we're looking at the, tree recommendations and things like that. Are we going to go from the viewpoint of encouraging developers, encouraging them to plant native stuff, or are we going to get into providing a list or these are the only acceptable plants?
And-
Like how far are we going with this?
And that's a good question. We're certainly not there yet. And I'm not sure. I've been waiting for that part to come up in the new saldo and to see where that's going.
That's ordinance, so that won't be in Saldo.
And that's where I get, isn't saldo
it's
subdivision and
just
land division ordinance?
Yeah, they're just like defining the areas, but that will refer to an ordinance
It's an
that,
ordinance, okay.
which just be an ordinance. I lost my thought. Oh,
Yeah, are we
yeah.
looking at having an ordinance or what is the future direction that we're going with this?
Well, it's interesting. After reading all this stuff, and I read a bunch of other stuff, I started thinking, and then I've had 3 conversations with the people down at Best Feeds,
Mhm.
and those guys are remarkably smart.
Mhm.
I mean, they really know their
There's
stuff.
so much to know about.
They are managed by the Department of Agriculture, so they're not allowed to sell bad stuff.
But
But
A lot
I
of them
think maybe
still
where we
do.
have a problem maybe isn't with those guys. It might be the big box stores where they buy anything they can because they're going to make a buck on it. So I don't know who could, whether they have the same scrutiny at Home Depot or Lowe's or a big box store that you would get at somebody that's a specific garden center. I don't know whether the same authorities watch them or not.
When you're talking with Best Feeds, do they have, like an ag extension site that has recommended plants or plants that are not? That maybe the best way to do this is to refer developers to those web pages.
Well, I was kind of thinking that maybe, we could have something about, please buy your plants from a reputable garden center. And get some guidance there, because part of the problem is this year they might get a ton of arborvitae, but next year they might not get any.
Right.
Right. And there's deer resistant kinds and there's not deer. I mean, it's mind boggling.
Right.
I don't know how anybody can manage a business like that.
Well, and I know putting the landscape guide together, you get in over your head so fast. And that's why I didn't even get into the invasives in the first round of this, because through the Audubon Society, I believe, or that's probably deep within conservation, whatever. But there's the list of native plantings. There's hundreds of them. There's the lists are very long, and so that's even something like you're saying. Send them to a reputable garden center or some other publicly available
Penn State's website.
Right.
Here's some websites, here's some,
As opposed to
can
us
check stuff
even
out.
regurgitating this into a table.
Yeah.
It's,
because our table is this big and the
Oh,
universe
our
is,
table is very small.
I didn't, at
Ours
first
is
I thought we had
just-
a huge selection until I started
No,
asking questions and reading.
no,
like,
it's quite limited and we can't, I can do better with that. We can expand. And note some common native replacements for common invasive plants.
What's that bush that I keep
That's-
thinking I have to take out?
The
It's
burning
prickly.
bush. Oh,
No,
no,
Barberry.
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 Oh, yeah.
I got
Yes.
barberries in my yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
supposed to be bad.
To Jack's point about the big boxes, Lowe's and Home Depot, I don't think they had Barbary this year. And I don't think they have
But there is a
burning
sterile
bush.
barberry I did find out.
Oh, is there?
I
Yeah.
think so with somewhere or other, I remember there being a discussion that Lowe's and Home Depot and things like that, we're no longer going to do Barbary and things like that.
Well,
but-
Right,
But they were given a time
I
frame.
think they're going to be prohibited from selling them
right.
Right.
in the next few years.
Yeah, I recall something, I don't remember the
And
context
that's
of
the
it.
Barbary.
I read that somewhere too.
Mhm.
Those are two that are kind of, I don't know, well advertised or popular
Right.
to plant, you know, in your own landscape, but. Something like this is a little more, I don't know,
And
special or something.
another thought is to make some sort of a placard or something to put there,
Educational.
educational, to say, this is a,
That
No.
might be the best way to handle it, that these are. You know, and then try to make an effort to trim off the old blooms so that even those aren't there,
Mhm.
you know.
So that
But-
would be the,
with a QR code that you can scan.
There you go.
it's right here.
Dawn's got me into QR.
Yeah.
codes.
So I don't know how hard that would be to put a, you know, or if the town would be amenable to that.
I don't see why not.
Because
I think. it would be
other
good-
than perception, I don't think it's going to do any harm. Right off.
I think
understand
maybe
the
one out of
concern, but
1,000 people would know what kind of bush that
you'd
is.
be amazed at how many gardeners know exactly what that is.
But how many gardeners come here? You know?
But I think putting a little sign on there, I think kind of. You know, provide some education and it gives you you know,
Miss Ruby Butterfly Bush, a non-invasive variety
Variety. Yes,
of
and
butterfly.
I like your QR code idea. We
Yeah,
can.
It's a good idea, but how do you put it on a sign? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
Well,
how
ask
to come
Dawn.
up with a little something that,
you might be able to put it like on an address label and then you just put that on this one.
It's gotta be weather resistant.
I know, that's the thing.
The-
What kind of a
the-
weather?
that when we are marking chestnut trees, Sharpies and all that stuff, you think they're gonna be great, in a year they're gone. If you do it on a mailing tag, a laser printed mailing tag, it's there 11 years later. I
No
have-
kidding.
I was amazed with that myself.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, it sounds like we feel more comfortable at this point with trying to provide some information,
Educational type
educational,
aspect of it rather than, you know,
but that
take
there are
a shovel. to it.
good, but the response is that there are good points to this and that it's deer resistant. It blooms all the time.
It's hard to replace.
And there isn't a native plant that's going to give us the same
Aesthetics.
aesthetics. Thank you.
How do you spell that?
AE.
One of those
Yeah,
AE words.
EHS. Okay.
Have our secretary spell that.
A is correct.
That's right, you're a communications guy. You would know.
Okay,
On the AP side.
So Judy, is that with you to try to like draft up a couple sentences?
I'll do that.
We have our own sign company. We make our own signs here.
Well, I know, didn't we do the tree information signs at one point?
I think we had to get those printed elsewhere, but
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
But we can do some sort of a little sign. Okay,
I don't know if they can do QR code, but
that's fine. But if we put it on there, you can do it. All right, all right. I appreciate the discussion. I will follow up with a response to that. Okay.
Thought it was gonna be an easy one.
Oh, I know.
Everybody learned a lot though.
Yeah, we did. So I did get a response back from Tony. He apologizes. Not enough hours in the day. And he is leading two pretty time intensive programs for us right now between the Get Solar. So I'll try and give a real quick summary of where that is. I almost forgot. There is a meeting tomorrow at noon with Leo Kowalski. I believe everyone knows that we were accepted into the Get Solar program. And there was a Zoom meeting last week between the program coordinators and us, and I believe there were 4 other entities that also were accepted to the program. So Carnegie Borough, Indiana Township, Wilkinsburg, and there was one more, I don't remember. So basically now we have, see if I can give a real quick summary. We really only have until the middle of December to come up with. We are trying to solicit businesses and eligible businesses, nonprofits, municipal organizations that are interested in going through this process to get I guess they fill out an application, and this Get Solar program actually gets a solar proposal for those individual entities. The goal is for us to find, I think, at least 10 businesses that are interested in filling out the survey and having this prepared. So I guess we were waiting for the informational packet from the group with the information to disseminate the businesses and those folks. And I believe I haven't seen that information yet. I'm assuming that's what this meeting tomorrow is. Just an update. I think there will be update meetings every 2 weeks. So I think the first challenge is figuring out how to get this information out to the businesses and the townships, the authorities, the churches, the nonprofits that could potentially benefit from this program.
We need some more guidance.
I think so too. So I'm hoping this meeting tomorrow will get us moving. So, because there
do
really
have-
isn't much time.
We do have to keep in mind, a lot of these organizations may have already reached out. But that was when there was this program.
Right,
Now, with this new legislation, the rules have changed.
right.
Because, for instance, non-taxable entities like the town had no advantage because it was based on, tax savings. So now they have a workaround for that, so that
Right, and things like the power purchase agreements. Like us, we were pretty much too small to go in just with our town hall. They will look at other alternatives for organizations like this. So maybe it's something that the town of McCandless, even with the smaller building area, still can find a way, find the grant funding, find the tax credits, whatever it is, to make it worth our while. So
no,
that's what,
it's not the tax credits, it's
or,
the financial incentive.
yeah, there's incentives. And that's over my head. So that's what these people do, is they pick out the programs that any individual organization would be eligible for and put together a proposal based on the eligible programs.
The one cool thing I thought was, I don't know why I like this, but they'll help if somebody needs to replace the roof. It'll pay 30% of
There's
replacement cost of
Right.
the roof.
there's incentives in there for that as well.
And how were they paid? I mean, it's like a broker. I mean, are they paid by are the vendor of the solar panels, or, I mean,
Wow, I have no idea. That's a good
I
question.
mean, what's their incentive to, I mean, other than the greater good, but
Or is this Get Solar is through let's see, Pennsylvania Solar Center, care of the Energy Innovation Center.
well,
I do
okay,
not
maybe-
know where all this
okay,
goes.
it's funded,
Layer
funded through the
after
state
layer
budget.
after layer.
Okay, yes, funded through, okay, got it.
So
I think they're basically asking us to be the sales arm.
that's.
Mhm,
exactly
yeah.
what it is.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is. But in the meantime, it would be great if we could get some businesses in McCandless going with solar.
Would be
if we could get
something.
The township, the
Yep.
ambulance authority,
Fire
sewer authorities.
departments.
Yeah, exactly. That's benefits everybody.
Was it our power consumption was too low? Or we didn't have enough roof space?
I think it's our power consumption was not enough to make it worth somebody's while for a PPA. was my understanding.
Okay.
That's why they were trying to get the sanitary authority, some others to kind of pull together so they could get enough usage and space to put to make it financially worthwhile.
Jeff, I don't know if you were in any of those calls, but now they kind of give you a greater area that you can pull resources from
Okay,
instead of just making it one.
yeah, because
Specific
I'm wondering
direction.
why is a church, better, have more of an advantage for their use than we would. This is a working building.
Right,
A church isn't always a working building. I mean,
but I think as you stated, that the nonprofits and the municipalities, the same incentives weren't there
mhm, yeah,
for us, and now apparently they are. So hopefully there's other types of arrangements that can be made to make it financially
Yeah,
worthwhile.
yeah.
So there's so many moving parts here. It's all over my head.
So with the concept of the idea that the grid will be able to take it too.
Right.
Right. That's a lot of our.
Yeah, that's another mess.
So that was the Get Solar update.
Mhm.
Tony's next item was rescheduled speaker series event. Just saw a series of emails today, settling on the new title. See, I believe that the new date is November the 19th. Is that what I put on here? The 17th, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. And
At the
And
Heritage.
at the Heritage Center.
Okay,
And it will be in person only,
okay.
not hybrid.
Is it still water oriented?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe came out with a flyer today. It still had a long unwieldy title, I think. Oh, no, okay, that Power of Water. McCandless EAC presents Power of Water.
You said
But
about
it's supposed-
stormwater?
It's supposed to be more water resources. Let me see, there was another, I apologize, sorry. We had a title for it. And how water has shaped the history and industry of the Pittsburgh region and will continue to be a focal point for generations to come. So they're trying to put a local spin on water resources. So I will forward that.
And where is that flyer right now?
I just got a copy of it from Tony today. So
Okay, it'll be, but it will be posted on McCandless website or, okay,
it'll go on our website. The
Okay.
Heritage Center is also going to advertise it, and
okay,
and Northland Public Library will advertise it as well.
okay, that's great.
When's our next town crier?
Next mail is gonna be at the end of the month. I'm working on a quick town crier now, but this may not be able to make it because the schedule's too break time and such.
I mean, it'd be important for it to make this one, right? It's because that's it, right? When's the next one after this one?
Well, we still have the monthly e-newsletter that comes out and, Facebook, Instagram posts go out, whatever, but
Okay.
there's usually only 2 town criers per year.
But-
Oh, okay. I'll call. Thanks, John. I got them mixed up. Okay.
So I think
It's
there's
not
still,
Mick.
I think they're still refining the flyer and the announcements. So, but I'll make sure that gets out to everybody and out for publicity. So that's where that stands. Okay, Matt, sorry, you're very patient. You're up.
No problem. So I mentioned before, I made that contact with Miss Lombardi at Nash. So I'm going to be meeting with her next week. She's had a really busy start of the school year, so we haven't had a chance to really discuss possibilities and ideas for ways that we can partner with them. But one of the things that's come up in the meantime is that I was at the Pennsylvania Science Teachers Association conference last week and ran into somebody from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, and they were talking about environmental education grants. They have an environmental education grant program where the grant round opened in the fall, the application deadline is in the winter, and it's for projects over the next school year. So the idea behind this is that like we couldn't apply for something like this, but we can partner with a school or some sort of educational entity and work with them on the grant proposals and things like that. But essentially, it's money that has to go towards specifically environmental education. So, you know, I don't know if this is going to be something that we're going to have time to do. I think that because the application's in the winter, the deadline's in the winter, there's some time to do it. So I was thinking that I would talk to this teacher about it. If anybody else has any other ideas about places, it says public schools, incorporated private schools, incorporated conservation educational organizations, universities and colleges, county conservation districts, incorporated nonprofit organizations, and businesses can apply. Local government obviously cannot. So, you know, it seemed like an interesting idea. And if there's a way that we can help, you know, a school get some money to increase environmental education and then potentially help with whatever program they're going to use that money for, you know, I'm certainly all for that. I don't know how other people feel about it, but I wanted to bring that out. And then the other thing was an email that I forwarded to Judy. She sent out to everybody, I believe, right before the meeting as well, is, and this is not related to education or STEM, but I got an email today about the PennDOT NEVI grant program that is going to be related to electric vehicles and creating infrastructure and whatnot to for charging stations and things along those lines. So that is something else that I think that we can potentially look at, and potentially that is something that we can, that governments, local governments can apply for. So we can certainly look into that as well. But that's the information that I have at this point.
Okay, well, that's great with the electric vehicle grants. I know that's something that Tony is very knowledgeable on those types of things, and something like that can also tie in, I think, with some of our sustainability goals.
Mhm.
So I think maybe that's something, you know, even the three of you maybe can, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at what was sent out. It was right before the meeting. Whether that's something that can be of use to us in
Okay.
pursuing our sustainability goals. I didn't
I
have a
know that one of the things that did pop up in the description is they said that they are concentrating initially on being near major highways, interstates, and
Okay.
turnpike and things like that. So it might be that even if we were to apply for something like that this year, we wouldn't get it because we don't touch that quite as well
Right.
as some of the, you know, other municipalities around us. But it's still, I think it's still something worth at least looking at and investigating.
Right.
There's going to be a webinar about it, I think, coming up in a week or two. I haven't had a chance to do too much reading into it, but I got the email about it, so I just wanted to forward it and see if
Yeah,
anybody else had.
I just feel like the availability of the electrical charging stations is an item in the sustainability.
Mhm.
So it's certainly something to keep on our radar.
Yep.
For future. And touching on the grant program, you said nonprofits. Now is something I know Dawn has been talking to Abby at the Heritage Center. They will be putting on some summer camps next year.
Okay.
And Dawn was going to collaborate with Abby on having some environmentally focused camps. Is that something that might qualify? Is our Heritage Center a nonprofit entity? Do you know?
I don't think it's a 501c3, but they were working on.
Okay. That's the only thing,
Right.
if that's something that would apply.
Yeah, I'm trying to see the dates on here. I think, yeah, awarded projects may begin July 1st. All projects must conclude by June 30th of the following calendar year. So as
So
long as they were programs happening after July 1st,
Okay.
it's certainly a possibility.
Okay, that's the only thing I could think of that maybe we could apply it to, outside of the school district. But
That's a good thought.
might be worth checking with Dawn and Abby, so I know they were supposed to be working together to come up with a curriculum for some of their camps.
I will reach out to Dawn and ask her about that.
That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, there's nothing else on Matt's items. Winterfest, we can put that off until next month, to be honest with us. Which puts us miscellaneous. Reminder, the North Hills EAC gathering, Wednesday, the 19th in Ross. Did everybody get an invitation for that? Okay,
Mhm.
I did not, so I have to, I have to contact Caitlin. Well, she worked,
People.
she contacted me directly, I guess, before the invitation went out. To see that I was available, because I think that was a change in date from what they originally said.
And she
But-
just sent another email today.
Yeah,
I-
she did.
Did you get
Or-
that?
I didn't, I saw somebody else's response to it.
Okay, okay.
And that's, I've been seeing people's responses. Thank you for copying me, because otherwise I didn't see them. So I will reach out to to Caitlin and make sure she doesn't need anything from us. So I hope at least a couple of us, I will plan on being there. I hope we can get
I'll be
a
there.
couple more.
Mhm.
I registered.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you very much. That's great. Okay, Dave, you, I believe, sat in on a PRC webinar.
Yes, it was a webinar that, about Act 101. The presenters were, a friend of ours, Farron Savitz.
Act 101 is.
Act 101 is, the Pennsylvania's, basically the recycling law.
Oh, okay.
Recycling, reuse, that kind of thing. Farron Savitz, who gave us a talk online about
Single-use.
single-use
plastics,
bags
yeah.
and that kind of thing. He was main presenter along with Sarah Shea. She's PRC's deputy director. She's really knows a lot about recycling. She's knows all the ins and outs and of recycling. But anyway, Act 101 was put together in 1988. It hasn't really been updated. They took a look at what were the original goals of the act. Really, the achievement of the goals hasn't really come through. They came up with 15 recommendations. This is another a short executive summary that I could put online.
Please.
Apparently, I think McCandless does really well statewide. There's probably a lot of municipalities that have no recycling whatsoever. So there's probably a big dichotomy about some municipalities and other more rural places that don't have any access to recycling. So they also talked about possibly getting a bottle deposit law. One of their big items is producer responsibility. Put the burden on the producer rather than the consumer to recycle or to use more sustainable or recyclable materials. He said that there's now 12 towns in Pennsylvania that ban single-use plastic bags.
And
Um,
that's still on my radar
yep,
at
Well,
some point. I
I
think.
think Giant Eagle picked a date and they're gonna be done.
Yeah.
oh, they did, okay.
And,
It was like 2025, if I remember.
well, it was
kind of
supposed
out
to have
there.
been done, but COVID extended it.
Well, that would certainly help with
Mhm,
picking
yes, it
up
would.
blue-
There's blue
blue
bags.
bags.
Absolutely.
litter.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that's it's the new cigarette butt.
Yeah. He said that back in 1988, when the law was first put together, there was a $2 when the truck goes to the landfill, there's a tipping fee. $2 of that tipping fee goes into the recycling fund. That $2 fee has not changed since 1988, 34 years, it's still $2. So a lot of these programs are kind of contingent on getting more funding in terms of putting more funding into the recycling efforts. I think Sarah mentioned, and this might be something we want to mention, like in a tip or something, Batteries Plus. They have a store down on McKnight. They're all over the place. They recycle all kinds of batteries.
Oh,
Oh, dear.
And that might be, I looked on their website and that's car batteries, that's some electronics, there might be some fees, but you know, phone parts and chargers and cords and all
but I
this
mean,
other
triple
stuff.
A's, D's, all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
all
because,
that stuff.
because the requirement to recycle those is you put a little piece of tape over top of the,
Only if it's lithium. they say.
is that right? Oh, if I looked at our recycling guide. Okay, well, maybe.
I misread that the first time and I was doing it to all.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
doing it over the N08 or whatever that little, you
Yeah.
know. But that would be great, and that would be great too.
So anyway, she just, I think a question came up about, you know, electronics and batteries and we have a very good and easy system for, you know, recycling.
The waste management, pick it up at home.
At your
I think,
curb
it's
and
I
that
think
kind
it's
of thing.
fantastic.
Yeah. So, you know, apparently not everyone in Pennsylvania has that.
No, I mean,
Has that.
yeah.
Ability, so
A
that
lot
was,
of our,
that was
our
good.
adjacent townships do not.
Towns,
Yeah, I mean, a TV,
Yeah.
you know, we get a TV out there and I mean, it's been great.
Yeah,
I've collected things for friends and.
I
gone
have
out
to, I
with
mean,
my
yeah,
stuff,
my
but-
brother, give me your
Yeah.
TV, I'll get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that, Chuck.
Not heard
I got
nothing.
small things.
so another interesting aspect of Act 101 is that it requires commercial establishments to businesses, restaurants, everyone to recycle. And this is a flyer that the EAC put together back in the early days, and John can testify to this, but we made an effort to go out to all sorts of businesses in McCandless and pretty much educate them on what they needed to be doing in terms of recycling. They need to recycle paper, cardboard, aluminum, and yard waste or leaf waste. Those are the only things that are in the law right now that businesses or commercial establishments need to recycle. So we found, you know, some are, you know, very, very interested in recycling, and others are, this was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. So, but there was an effort to go out in McCandless and see what the businesses are doing in terms of recycling. There's, you know, tires and auto shops and those kind of things are very, the recycling and storage of the fluids and the chemicals and the batteries and the tires and all that is very well regulated. But an office building may have a recycling dumpster, may not have a recycling dumpster.
So what do you do? Do you update this? Do you sort of reinstitute the program to the community or like?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's kind of an educational, again, like educational aspect to it. The town could go out and then, you know, enforce this, I guess, if, you know, it's another ordinance type
Right.
law to enforce, but
Is there an ordinance for it? In our list of ordinances?
it's, well, this is the Pennsylvania law would trump any ordinance.
Okay,
so
right,
it's a-
okay.
It's a law,
Okay.
state law right now. But right now in the law, it doesn't say, you know, you have to recycle plastic bottles and glass and all the other things that have, it's just paper, cardboard, aluminum cans and yard waste. So I don't know, it's might be something if we want to get back into that, go out and go out and visit businesses and
Yeah.
how are you doing on commercial recycling? Do you know about the law? This is what's required. That kind of thing. like we say, some of them, some businesses are very into it. Others have no idea what to do.
Yeah,
We met some employees that took bottles and cans home with them to recycle
Yeah.
because there wasn't, even though there was maybe a lot of it's single stream recycling dumpster that's next to the municipal waste dumpster. They don't really trust that it's getting recycled, so they take it home instead. But anyway.
can you share any links that you think would help me come up to speed on this?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Like I say, there's a 6-page type of
Yeah.
summary, executive summary. I think the main report, the entire report was maybe 30 or 40 pages
Okay.
long, but yeah, sure.
Well, thanks for
Sorry.
sitting on that
Thanks.
webinar.
That's awesome.
No, it's really this guy Farron is, we need to be his friend.
Right, and we still have his contact information.
Right,
Since he did
right.
talk to us.
Very
this time
knowledgeable.
last year. Yeah,
Good talker, can, explain things really well.
okay,
I'm
So-
interested in that.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next item up, November McMail tips. I guess I've lost track of my systematic assignment because we've had so many folks come up with some and volunteer with some great topical tips. So I was going to put it out there. Does anybody have a tip on their that they'd love to write up for this month? We like to keep them seasonal. I know a topic I had seen that I think would work well is, and I can't remember if it was I don't think it was in a McCandless mailing. I saw it somewhere. Basically, the title is Leave the Leaves, which is recommending that you don't rake or blow the leaves off of your lawn. You can either, I know what we do is we generally just run over with the lawnmower and mulch them and just leave them on the grass. It's good for the grass. And leaving leaves in your garden areas and as mulch, it's habitat for lots of critters.
It replenishes your soil.
And it replenishes your soil. It's a natural way to mulch and fertilize, and it helps the animals as well. So I know I've seen some write-ups that ways to encourage you to not primarily blow the leaves, because apparently that just kicks up all kinds of junk out of the dirt,
Right.
strips
Hmm.
topsoil off. But
Well, that's, what's better than that? I mean, it's a
So-
great tip, right?
I can work on that unless somebody else wants to jump up and volunteer.
Well, I mean, I just learned
Yeah.
something from it. So, I mean, I think that's a,
The other
idea
thing
behind
is
it.
maybe what should people be doing with pumpkins?
Well, we can.
Throw them.
For the deer.
Give them the,
Don't-
yeah.
What's that?
I got in trouble for
Yeah.
that.
You put them out for the animals. Last year,
Oh, for the deer.
yeah, we actually had that in our tip last year, but it unfortunately said among all the animals that will eat it, deer was in the list, and we had just passed an ordinance not to feed the deer.
yeah.
So I-
Just put, deer do not eat.
With a Sharpie.
just for animals, and you can leave a long list and just don't put deer on that list.
Well, it does compost quite well.
Yeah.
I've done that the past 2 years. We split the pumpkin in half and put it in our garden bed, and within a week it's gone.
It's gone. It's all gone.
All of your nutrients in the ecosystem, the small branches on your trees and the leaves, that's where all of your nutrients are. So when you're scraping that stuff all away, you're taking the nutrients out of your ecosystem
Mhm,
rather than replenishing them
right.
and giving food to all the little yeasty beasties.
Mhm. So
There's nutrients in dead leaves,
Yeah.
leaves that fall down. Oh.
I've been working on my husband on that one too. It's okay. The leaf is okay. Okay, I will put something together for that. What is your deadline, John?
Say probably 26th.
Okay.
Then you're off the hook for 6
Then I'm off
months
the
or
hip for a
so.
while. Okay, yeah, then I may just go back to our alphabetical. And get it going again. All right, anyone else wants to add for topics for next month for discussion? I think we have lots of topics going on. so
we do.
We're good. And just for your benefit, Jeff, and reminder for everybody else, it's always helpful. Well, number one, you can always bring up a topic during the month. I generally put the agenda together a week before the meeting. So I often will send out a reminder email. Let me know what you'd like to discuss at the meeting. And something else we encourage, if you have a particularly long report, it's very helpful to put some sort of a written summary together to cut down the, of course, the discussion's important at the meetings, but if we can get a lot of information out there prior to the meetings, obviously that makes our time more efficient. So just put that out there as a reminder every now and then. But my goal is normally to get us out of here by 9.
Okay.
And we've been doing a pretty good job, except for last month. All right, last up, report from town council.
I think we pretty much covered everything from a town council standpoint, but I did want to say that I did sign up for the Penn State
Okay.
extension series for backyard stream repairs. And I think I can forward, I tried to see if Dawn could get it. I don't know
Okay,
if you're interested, I'll be happy to send it to you. It is very informative about, streams and, I had no idea, but lawns are terrible for absorbing water.
Mhm.
Just runs off
It just runs off. Yeah. And
by one trees.
so, but a forest can take like 16 inches of rain an hour and digest it. 16 inches.
That's why you
And
by
you
trees.
wonder why we have a problem at the bottom of Pine Creek Road. When you drive through the flats and it's nothing but non-porous surface areas. So if anybody wants it, just let me know and I'll forward it on.
and I believe I signed up for a Penn State extension, something happened, I think, about native plantings.
Okay.
I just, in doing all my research here on the native plants, Penn State Extension has a huge network of information and webinars. I think it costs $5 for the webinar.
Wow.
So.
And mine was 30 and I don't have any class. I got another one tomorrow, but
Okay. Yeah, this is just a one-time.
So is Penn State Extension sort of like, you go on and you see what your topics are, like sort of like master class or something, and you just pick it and pay
Yeah,
for it or
yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a ton of information and you could sign, I guess, signed up to receive notifications and you can pick the items of interest.
That's
And
fantastic.
even if you just have queries, like if you are wondering about stilt grass, how to convert stilt grass.
Yeah.
Go on Penn State Ag Extension and it'll give you some idea on that.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Tons of
It's
information. Yeah.
a really superly upgraded.
Yeah.
System from what it was years ago. A lot of information.
and they dumb it down for me.
Judy, I sent out an NAEC program.
Oh, you did. Yes,
Um,
thank you.
It's in November and it's in North Park with the Arboretum.
In fact, I printed that out,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
remember to mention it, and it's buried in my papers. Oh, and there's Tony's thing too. Okay, here's the NAEC. North Park Arboretum.
Where is that Arboretum?
It's right across from the Tasty
from
Freeze.
Full
Yeah.
Course.
Yeah.
Over there.
And they
Okay, all
don't, they
right.
don't have any of the trees marked in there, but that was all done back in the 1930s.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly have records of everything that's in there, but
Oh,
they've never gone through and identify, put signs or anything on the trees.
So did you send this out to everybody or just to me?
I'll bet you that makes you happy when you walk through. there.
I've got a little,
You,
like, some people were asking me about.
not everyone,
outlaws, and
Okay.
That's one of the places I suggested, because I know they have.
you,
I
Jack,
asked you that question.
Can, maybe,
Because I know that there
Would
is.
you
you
mind
told
just
me
sending?
yeah,
but,
and John. I
But you're
guess,
right,
Yeah,
but
when-
we'd
when they were doing
like
that
to see
development.
John will.
The end of Pine Creek Road.
Advertise
you
it.
know,
Advertise,
That
okay.
old farm back there. That was one of the things Shelley and I talked about.
Is that in
November
the
5th.
Campbells or is that in?
Grass, the
or
way
probably
it
goes
started
into
out,
Hampton
it was all up there, they were
also?
all kinds of
Right, right around the border,
Right, right.
at my,
You know, it was encouraging.
Where you pick up the litter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's one of his litter.
Oh, is it?
areas.
Oh, yeah.
It's all overgrown back in there.
It is. I hike through there all the time. Yeah, it's really, you have to sort of,
Is that where that little
Bush-
parking area is? Is that?
it's just to the left of that. And the sign, have you
Okay.
seen the Arboretum sign?
I've
It looks,
seen
it
an
looks like it's from 1930. I mean,
Yeah, I've
it's
seen an
barely, I
old
mean,
sign.
yeah,
I've seen an old sign now that you mentioned
yeah,
that.
it's so old.
Okay,
Well, this is a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, you
I'll tell you what, I
covered
mean,
a lot today. Jim.
Yeah, and if you want to, you can sink yourself into so much of this, you just have to sort of, it's about restraint, I think.
Yeah,
Wait until we, you know, you get your 4 or 5 things that are yours.
Yeah, yeah.
you want to tell us all about it.
Like I said, I'm trying to hold back because I like this and I like that. I like the trail building. I like the recycling and I like the litter and I like, you know, so. But you can't do them all.
You're retired, you can do them all.
Oh, I tell you. I'm busier now than I ever have been.
I agree with that.
Oh, yeah. Just came
Just
back
don't
from
look
hiking
at
out
the
west for a
stock
week.
market.
No. All right, so we have no public comments. Anything else anyone would like to add before we move to adjourn?
Good job.
Do we
Yeah,
have a motion
that'd
to
be good.
adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. A lot of hard work, lots going on, so
Thanks, Matt.
thank you.